Hey everybody, welcome back to another action figure unboxing and review, Medicom Mafex edition. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Rogue One Darth Vader. This is version 1.5. It's a re-release of the 2017, I think it was 2017 version that came out a while ago. And this one came out earlier this year, I believe. I never saw the first one, so I don't know if there were like joint issues or whatever, and they needed to address those with the re-release. To my knowledge, the only reason they re-released this one is because it was old, and they wanted to get it back out there for people. But they did add a new lightsaber effect to this package. This lightsaber blade here, kind of like an in motion blade, basically. That wasn't in the original package, so other than that, everything else is pretty much the same, I'm pretty sure. This was the first Mafex figure I bought, but it's the second one I'm reviewing because when the Magneto arrived and I took it out of the package and started messing around with it, I knew I had to review that one first. But people voted for me to review Keldor and this figure this week, so I did Keldor Tuesday, and today I'm doing Darth Vader. So as you can see, the box is pretty big window. And then you got a picture of Vader down here. That's the actual figure rather than a image. And you have Darth Vader Rogue One version, action figure, version 1.5. Mafex number 211. The original one was like 77 or 78 or something like that. And you got legalese on the bottom. You got that Mafex authentic hologram thing they have there. On the top, you just got Star Wars on the side with another picture of the figure. And then yet another picture of the figure. And then on the back, you have even more pictures of the figure, followed by a lot of Japanese. And more pictures of the figure, the lightsaber accessories. The only thing they don't show you are the hands. And Disney, Mafex, more legalese or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Not much to the box. So let's get this guy open. And as usual with these figures, I've already opened it. And here we have, this is just like I guess an instruction manual or something. I haven't even opened it. I haven't bothered. So I'll just throw that in the back of the box. And then you have the Mafex stand, just your basic actions pose stand with the clamps and all that stuff. I'm just going to leave this in the package. I don't need to get that out and show you guys. You probably all know what those kind of stands look like by now. Got a nice big tray, and it has one of these plastic overlays. Keep everything in its place. Let's get Vader out. And then we can dump everything else out off screen a bit. Ugh. All right. So here we go. Here is our guy, Darth Vader. Yep. Okay, well, spoiler alert, his helmet comes off. Unfortunately, even though it does kind of click when you put it on, it's not very sturdy, say. Hardly take any effort to pull it off again. Although it won't like fall off or anything if you hold them upside down. But it still comes off a lot easier than I would have preferred. All right, right off the bat, I'm going to say the cloak on this one isn't nearly as good as the one from the Magneto. First of all, it's not as strong, and this material is not as heavy as the Magneto's cape was. So that's stage one of disappointment with the cape. The second part is this wire feels really, not just is it weaker, but it's really flimsy. It's difficult to get it to make it look like the cape's laying flat. Now this could just be a defect with my figure. I don't know if it's actually a defect with it, but it might just be my lack of being able to work this type of cape. I don't know. I didn't have this problem with the Magneto cape, but it's so damn difficult to get it to look like it's laying down flat. Like if you want it just to be hanging over his shoulders like this, like you see him in the movies sometimes, standing there like that. But no, it just wants to fly open all the time. You can't get it to lay still, like gravity is actually making it do. Instead, it always looks like he's in a windstorm. It's always billowing around him. And the part around the neck is kind of flimsy too. I think it's already tearing a little bit, to be honest. So that's unfortunate. It would have been nice if they had, it'd be nice if they connected it to the shoulder pads somehow, so that it wouldn't rotate around like that. Alright, anyway. Gripes about the cape aside. The material is not that it's made of isn't too bad. It's a bit thinner than the Magneto cape too. This reminds me more of the cloaks that come with the Masterverse figures. It's not quite that thin, but it is pretty thin. The Hasbro Black Series Vader cloak is thicker than this. But then again, it doesn't have a wire, so it doesn't need to be really thin in order to allow the wire to hold its weight. It's weird because this figure came out after the Magneto one, but I'm guessing they just used the same design from the first Rogue One Vader. They didn't change it at all. So even though they had a better wire cape, clearly because they used it with Magneto, they didn't use that same type of wire with the Vader cloak. They just used the same one that they used for the original Rogue One Vader. That is a big, big misstep by Mafex, in my opinion. It makes this figure not quite as good as it otherwise could have been. But issues with the cape aside, the figure looks fantastic. This is Darth Vader, clearly. You can see the eyes. See that red glow in the eyes. This looks really, really cool. And if you watch the film, you can actually see that in the movie. It's very difficult to see. I think the reds in the film itself are a little bit darker. But there are certain situations in the film where the light hits it just right and you can see that it is red. So that's kind of cool. And the helmet is nice and shiny. Nice glossy, shiny black. And yeah, it does come off. The face part does not come off though, unfortunately. It does look like they sculpted a head in there, but then they just glued the mask on top of it. And if you look really closely, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it with my camera. And yeah, you're just going to have to take my word for it. You can actually see eyes behind the lenses. There are eyes back there. So they sculpted a head. They sculpted eyes. I don't know how far they went, though. They might have just left it there. Like if I were to remove this mask, I might be looking at a faceless freak with just two eyes staring at me. No mouth, no nose. That's possible. But you can see the pasty white skin and all the scars, just like Vader would have had. And then you have all the detail on the collar of the mask and well as on the top there, which is kind of cool. And you got more of that detail on the front of the mask as well. So yeah, that part's pretty cool. And then of course he's got the shoulder armor and the chest armor there. And the shoulder pieces are attached up underneath the shoulder area so they get out of the way of the arms. And then you have his chest pad, his chest power device here. And it's got the buttons just like the actual character does. And then there's control boxes on his belt. That big silver buckle there. He's got a hook here for his lightsaber. And unlike the SH Figuarts version of Vader, they didn't use cloth for the lower robes. These are just really soft but plastic, but it's still plastic. And of course the codpiece area is plastic as well. He's got his normal black pants and his shiny black boots. And then his arms and gloves, of course. And then on the back, just like, looks like that. Shoulder piece come across around there. And then the tunic area, and then the lower robes all the way down. Going over articulation. I'll just take his helmet off for now. He can't look far down very far, only about that much. But he can look up quite a bit, so that's good. He can do the Exorcist, and he's got a ton of tilt. He has... I tried popping this off earlier, but it wasn't coming easily, so I don't know if it's good to come off, you know. The reason I wanted to take it off before is I wanted to try and reposition the cape a little bit in that socket, but it didn't come off easily when I was trying to, so I stopped trying because I didn't want to break it. But it's a interesting kind of joint. I think it's just a ball that's up in the neck or in the head there, but it really gives a lot of movement out of it. So I'm not sure what the actual mechanism is, but it's pretty. You get a pretty good amount of movement out of it. I will say it is kind of loose, though. See, it doesn't take much effort to make his head move around, which is kind of pain. The joints all move like butter, but it can be an issue when you're trying to get them posed, because you're like position one thing and then something else will slide out of position while you're doing it because they move so easily. So his arms can get up into a Y pose, so that's always nice, and it can go all the way around. The shoulder pad does get out of the way there. He does have a bicep cut, as you can, bicep cut, as you can see. He's got double jointed pinless elbows, and then he has the same peg design as the Mezco figures, where it can twist in any direction. You can go up, down, or side to side as you wish. And there goes his hand off onto the floor. I better find that before the carpet monster gets it. There we go. Let's see here. Right, there you go. I had to take the fist off and move it myself because it wasn't... But there you go. So it goes like up, down, side to side, any way you desire. Alright, so... he does have a cut at the shoulder armor, which allows him to go forward about that far. Can't go back too much further because the chest box gets in the way. But then he can go back about that far. And he can slide side to side there. He can also turn at that. And surprisingly, he can go all the way around, which is weird. And he also has a waist ball. So he has a lot of movement there as well. And he can go forward about that far. He can go back that far. And he can tilt there as well and turn all the way around with that one. So you can get him into a lot of weird tilted positions. The only problem with that is because it moves so easily, if you like move his arm in a certain way, then that goes with it, whether you want it to or not. So then you got to move that back. And then this gets out of position, so it kind of looks like that, and then you got to line it up again. So that can get frustrating at times, but once you get in the right position, he looks really good. Leg-wise, these get out of the way for the most part, but not so much when you're putting his legs out to the side, so he can go about that far out, because then it gets kind of tight up here. Oh, another thing about the arms, they do have the up, down, butterfly, as well as the forward, back. You can see there, it goes up and down, side to side. And his legs can do that as well. They can go down, up. Not side to side, not for the legs anyway. So he can kick out pretty high. If he ever wants to stop being a Dark Lord of the Sith, he might be able to join the chorus line Broadway. And he can kick out really far, too. One of the best looking kickbacks I've seen for a figure. He doesn't have a thigh cut, but you can turn at the hip socket a little bit. Not as much as you would with an actual thigh cut, but it's not too bad. And he has a lot of range of motion from other ways, so it's not that big of a deal. He also has double jointed pinless knees, but he can't kick up much further than that. He does not have a boot cut. That's too bad. His foot can only peg back about that far. For some reason, they cut that down really low at his ankle, so he catches that pretty easily when you're putting his foot back, so he can't go back much further than that. He can go up about that far forward. He's got the rocker pin. He's got the toe joint. And as usual, no peg holes on the bottom. They really want you using their stands. They don't want you using any foot peg stands. Alright. Out of the box, he does come with these two fists. He's ready to bare knuckle box you if it comes down to that. Although both of his hands are cybernetic, so that wouldn't feel very good if he hits you with that. But he also comes with a whole ton of hands, like they do with Mafex. First, he's got these splayed out hands, like there. And as I showed with the Magneto figure, they have these nice little stands here. Well, not stands, but these little plastic devices that keeps them together as a set and also keeps the peg hole open so you can get it onto the wrist peg easily. He also has a pair of relaxed hands. These are kind of just hanging out, hands down by his side. Stop what you're doing. Whoa, 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 take it easy type of hands. And he has a pair of pointing hands. You know Vader likes to point. He's always telling people, you're part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. So he needs these hands in order to do that. Of course, he has a pair of gripping hands. How else is he going to hold his lightsaber? So he's got one for the left and the right in case he wants to do some left-handed swinging. He's normally right-handed, but I'm sure he can use both. And lastly, he has these hands, which are designed to rest on his control boxes here. Because, you know, often you can see Vader just chilling with his hands resting on the control boxes at his waist. So I think it's cool that they gave us hands that will allow him to do that. And then you just have to get him in the right position. See what I mean? When you're trying to move his arms to get him into the right position to rest his hands there. See, now his chest is all out of whack and it's not lined up properly. So then I have to do that, and then his arms come undone again. But yeah, there we go. So there you go. You can have Vader holding on to the control boxes. Last but not least, he has... Yep, there goes his hands. He has this, which is a molded hand and forearm. These hands are not removable. And they got pegs on either side for his forearms. And what you can do with these is you can pop off his forearm, like so. Just pretend he got his hand cut off by Luke. And do it on both sides. And kick the helmet off again, because I keep knocking it off anyway. And then you just pop it onto one side here. Oops, his arm came off. Just a second. Right. All right. And try not to put too much force into that this time, so it doesn't happen again. And again, I gotta reposition his chest piece to make sure it lines up with the belly. And there we go. You can have Vader arms folded, looking all badass. So that's a cool little extra accessory there. Again, once you get this guy in the position you want him to, he looks really, really cool. It's a real chore getting him into the position, into the right positions, because of the combination of the looseness of the joints. I shouldn't say looseness. It's not quite like that. Like, you don't, if you do like this, he's not gonna flop around or anything. It's not loose like that. It's just that the joints move so smoothly. It's so easy to knock him out of position if you're trying to get him into a pose. Especially the torso area, because the shoulders and the belly area they go in different directions all the time. And then you have to line them up again, and that throws the arms off, so you have to get that done again. So they can get a little frustrating in that way. But that kind of looks cool. Alright. Next, he comes with his lightsabers, of course. He's a Star Wars character. Of course, he's going to come with a lightsaber. Especially a Sith Jedi character. First, he comes with just the hilt. And you can see right there, there is well, you might not be able to see the hole, but trust me, it's there. There's a peg hole there. And you can push that onto the a hook there, and that'll hold pretty well. Like I wouldn't pick them up like that, but it won't fall off. It does kind of hang, not like it doesn't hang naturally. Obviously, as you can see, it's kind of sticking out from the body, so that's unfortunate. But I don't know any other way they could have done that unless they, gave you a metal hook over the edge to just like kind of hang it on there and let it stand naturally. He also has this lightsaber, an ignited lightsaber, just sitting still. Nice bright red, although it looks darker when you move my hand away. So it looks pretty dark. It looks pretty light there, and then you move my hand away, and it's like that. With a nice light source, you could probably get a good-looking effect out of it if you wanted to do that. Unlike the Hasbro lightsabers, you can't pull the blade out of this, so I wouldn't try. It's glued in there. Right? Isn't it focusing? There we go. Pulling it out might break it. And we already have a separate hilt anyway, so you don't really need to take the blade out. And lastly, we have this effect lightsaber to make it look like he's swinging it. And this is the part that was new to this version that the previous version did not have. As you can see, it looks pretty nice. This will allow you to do more action type posing with Vader and make it look more actiony. So yeah, this Vader is pretty cool. Gripes about the cloak aside, I also don't like the fact that he doesn't have peg holes in his feet, but that's a Mafex thing, so I can't blame him too much about that. It does look kind of cool standing there. I will say also, this figure is a little bit smaller than the Black Series. In fact, if you'll bear with me, I'll go get the Black Series right now. Okay, I meant to have this out and ready for the review, but I forgot to do it. But he's not that far away, so it didn't take me long to go and get him. Vader should be a big hulking guy, and he is, I mean, he's a pretty good size, don't get me wrong. He's only slightly shorter than the Black Series. This is the Empire Strikes Back version. As you can see, my helmet had QC issues on the Empire Strikes Back version, the Black Series one, so he definitely looks a lot better. That helmet does. But this cloak, I like the way it just hangs down on him more. Plus, for some reason, with all the hands they gave him, they didn't give him one of these hands. For some reason, they didn't give him a force choking hand. I don't know why. I guess the closest you get to that is the finger pointing, but the finger's kind of out too far. So yeah, no force choke hand, which is unfortunate. I like the force choke hand. That's why I've got my Vader posed with him using it. But yeah, as you can see, the height isn't that big of a difference. So we're not talking the difference between like heavy artillery roadblock from the classified line and the Mezco roadblock. I did a review of them, and the Mezco roadblock is significantly shorter, and roadblock should be really tall. But he still looks good next to your stormtroopers and your Emperor Palpatine. Again, I wouldn't object to that in my display. It's just a little shorter than the Black Series one. Hardly noticeable. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to spend like 90 quid on this one as opposed to 25 on the Hasbro one. Posing wise, though, he looks really, really fantastic. In fact, the cape actually looks pretty nice like this. I haven't been able to get it to look like this, but folding his arms makes it look a lot better. So this might be the pose I keep him in, so he looks better. Now, he will eventually be my display Vader, but for the moment I'm going to keep it with the other Vader because the shelf that he's on, there's a lot of traffic in the cupboard beneath it, and closing and opening the door of that cupboard shakes the shelf. And since he doesn't have foot pegs, I can't put him on a stand, so if I put him in my Empire display, he'll just fall over all the time. So I gotta wait until I have a better display area that won't get shaken around a lot. This is a really good Vader, I think. Probably my favorite version of Vader that I've gotten so far, and I haven't had a lot. I only have this one, the Empire one, and the Return of the Jedi with removable helmet one. And I probably won't get many, if any, others. If Mezco ever did one, I might get that one. But other than that, I probably won't be getting any other Vaders because I think I got every type of version of Vader I need. I've got a version of him without the removable mask, I got a version with the removable mask, and I got a version that's highly posable. So I don't think I really need anything else. For my experience, Medicom figures, Mafex figures don't usually get reduced much. They don't go on clearance. So if you want to get this figure, you're going to have to pay the full retail, most likely. I would, because I think it's a great figure. But I can understand if you don't want to go that route, it might be a little bit more than you're willing to spend for a Vader figure. But he's one of my favorite characters, probably my favorite character, period. Favorite fictional character of all time. So I'm willing to spend a little extra on a Vader figure. I think looks really cool. So like or comment down below, like and subscribe. There is a poll up on my community tab to pick who I review next week. So hit that up and make a choice, make a vote. Every vote counts. Definitely more so than in political elections. Every vote definitely counts here. So vote for who you want me to review next week, and I will see you next time.